In a country like ours, where you cannot draw very strict lines between the forest and people because people are everywhere, ideally we would like to have the participation of the people who live alongside the forest as a stakeholder in the preservation of the forest itself. It would be better if they were themselves a part of the solution rather than being a part of the problem.
Jungle Scapes is a non-profit working on ecological restoration since 2008. We follow a community participative model where local communities living around the forests are actively involved in the restoration efforts. We've been working with the forest department in restoring forest areas degraded due to human pressures as well as due to invasive alien plants like Lantana camara. Invasive alien species are a problem all across India, and this problem has become quite severe over the last 3 decades.
We found that Bandipur is, although it is a beautiful place, 60% of Bandipur Tiger Reserve is covered with Lantana camara. So that was one of the reasons why we chose Bandipur to work in.
ಲಾಂಟನ ಬೆಳೆದ್ರೆ ಹುಲ್ಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಬೆಳೆಯಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಅದರ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತೆಗಿಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಲಾಂಟನ ಅದರಿಂದ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬೆಂಕಿ ಬತ್ತ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ
The Bandipur National Park is one of the oldest and most prestigious tiger reserves in the country. Bandipur has around 120 villages dotting its boundary. Most of these are indigenous community villages. We find that most of these communities do not engage in farming, and their main livelihood is through working in nearby farms. This is employment that they get for part of the year, and for the rest of the year they do not have much of livelihood options. This is where the ecological restoration is able to give them a sustainable livelihood throughout the year because we have a restoration calendar of activities which cover all the seasons of the year.
ಕಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು ಸರ್, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗಾಳಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್, ಅವಾಗವಾಗ ಮಳೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಉಯ್ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್, ಜಮೀನೆಲ್ಲ ಬೆಳೆಯೋಕ್ಕೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಐತೆ, ಕಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು ಸರ್.
One of the main pressures on forests across India comes from collection of firewood. Our surveys in Bandipur show that around 90% of local communities are dependent on firewood for their fuel needs, and a significant part of this firewood is used for heating of bathing water. This has the potential to not only reverse the gains of restoration but also to increase human-wildlife conflict.
Being a marginal farmer means that you are dependent on the forest to a large extent. Nobody can blame them. So they go to the forest for grazing their cattle. They go to the forest as they graze. At times they also ensure that they cut a few trees here and there so that the next time they go it would have dried up. They make a headload out of it and they bring it back.
ನಾವು ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಓದಿಟ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಸೌದೆಗೆ ಒಯ್ತೀವಿ, ಸೌದೆ ತಗೊಬತ್ತೀವಿ, ಸೌದೆ ತಗೊಬಂದು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ನೀರು ತುಂಬ್ತೀವಿ, ನೀರು ತುಂಬಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆಮೇಲೆ 11 ಗಂಟೆ 12 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಡುಗೆ ಗ್ಯಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ನೀರು ಕಾಯ್ಸೋಕೆ ಸೌದೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊತೀವಿ. ನೀರು ಕಾಯ್ಸೋದು ಮಾತ್ರ ವಾರದಲ್ಲಿ 2 ದಿವಸ, ಸೋಮವಾರ ಶುಕ್ರವಾರ ನೀರು ಕಾಯಿಸ್ತೀವಿ.
None of the villages have running water connection to the houses, so it is not possible for them to have geysers or solar water heaters.
In the overall tapestry of climate change, the fight against climate change, we need to restore the forest, which we are doing. The other side is that we try to minimize the fuel consumption. Lantana is useless in the forest, so we can make use of it as a biomass. So we bring the lantana that has been removed in the forest, we bring it back. Then it goes into the firewood. We made a little bit of a research and we found a particular type of Gujarat boiler which is very fuel efficient.
And it's also much lower in cost compared to options like geysers and solar water heaters.
That we thought was a great game changer, and we went around and we sold that idea to a few people. So before we did that, we thought we'll test it out in reality. We bought about 5 boilers. We bought it here. We gave it to the houses to see. Okay, we didn't tell them much. We said we use it and see how it is.
ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ 5 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಉರಿ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ 7 ಗಂಟೆ ಕಾಯಬೇಕು, ನೀರು ಕಾಯಬೇಕು. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ 15 ನಿಮಿಷ 20 ನಿಮಿಷ ಆಯ್ತು.
ಅದು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ಸೋದಾ ಇಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. 1 kg ಅಷ್ಟು ಇಕ್ಕರೆ ಈಗ ಅರ್ಜೆಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದೆಷ್ಟು ಸೋದಾ ಇಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನೀರು ತಕೊಂಡು ಸ್ನಾನ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. ಬಸ್ಕೋಯ್ತೀವಿ. ಇದು ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಸೋದಾ ಇಡಿ, ಅದರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಇದೆ.
ಬಾಯ್ಲರ್ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು. ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಸರ್ ನಾಗೇಂದ್ರ ಅಣ್ಣ ಅವ್ರ ಮನೇಲಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೇಲಿರೋದೆಲ್ಲ ಕಡಾಯಿ ಸರ್. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಸೋದಾ ಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ 2 ಗಂಟೆ ಟೈಮ್ 3 ಗಂಟೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಒಟ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್ ಅದು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಿದ್ರು ಕಾಯಿ ಮಟ್ಟ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದೇ ಜಲ್ದಿ ಕಾಯ್ಕತ್ತ ಸರ್. ಗಿಡಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗೋ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸಣ್ಣ ಪುಟ್ಟ ಮರಿಗಳ್ಗೆ ಸೊಪ್ಪು ಕಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಅದ ಬಳ್ಳಿಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆಲ್ಲ ಕಾಯ್ಕತ್ತ ಸರ್. ತಗೋತೀವಿ ಸರ್ ನಾವು, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ. ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
See, there are many studies which show that every kilogram of wood which is burnt is equal to 1.65 kilograms of carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide is the largest contributor among the greenhouse gases. So if we are able to somehow do our bit in reducing the emissions, we would have done a great service to the fight against climate change.
The success of ecological restoration depends to a large extent on the support of the local communities. These could be people engaged directly in restoration work or others whose actions could impact the restoration. This support in turn depends on the trust that we are able to build with the local communities, and this is where socio-ecological projects like improved cook stoves or fuel efficient boilers could help build this trust and thereby garner the support of these local communities for the restoration work.